In a world full of bad news, this podcast is a source of good news, real talk, and real inspiration. On this show, you'll hear stories of growth, legacy, and entrepreneurship. Everyday people who overcome real challenges to build something meaningful. My name is Stephen Padernacht, third generation Bronx born and raised in the real estate game. This is the Padernacht Podcast, brick by brick. So this episode, what I want to focus on is just some Q&A. I have my boy Claudio, the voice, here to ask me some questions. You know, as a creator, you kind of struggle with what to create at certain moments. So this episode is going to be very, very casual, very much just getting into the mind of Stephen Padernacht. So go ahead, Claudio. What do you got for me? What's the first question that I am tackling in this episode?
So let me first say that when you gave me these questions, I'm like looking through, and all I'm thinking is like, man, let me see how many of these questions like I'm interested in. So I'm going through them. I'm like, oh, I wonder what he's going to say to this one, to this one. So it's a very much a curated set of questions.
All right, cool.
From the original.
A curated playlist.
Curated. There we
go. There you go.
So I'm excited to see your answers.
All right, cool.
First question is, when you feel like giving up, what do you do to reset and keep going?
So this is super relevant for the conversation that we were just having before. You know, I was expressing to Claudio that podcasting is very new to me, right? It's not new for me to be necessarily in front of the camera, but it's new for me to come up and produce a show, so to say, right? So, you know, you hit creative blocks. You hit like just the sort of roadblocks where it's just like, all right, I don't really feel like being creative. What am I going to create today? And to answer your question, I think that what I do is I try to focus on the end goal, and I try to focus on the why and the why are you doing this? Why are you shooting this podcast? Why are you trying to build a media network? Why are you trying to build a successful real estate team? Why are you trying to do all of these things that you're trying to do? Because most people look at me and they're just like, dude, you get so much done. And I'm just like, listen, you have no idea that all of the struggles and all of the things that I go through on a daily basis. But for me, when I feel like giving up, what I do is I focus on the end result and specifically how I'm going to feel when I'm done. It's very similar to like going to the gym. Like 99% of the time, I don't feel like going to the gym. I don't feel like doing that. But I know that when I walk out of the gym, I'm going to feel amazing and I'm going to feel better about myself. And that feeling is what I'm chasing. And when I don't feel like doing something, I am trying to train my mind to push forward. And when I don't feel like doing something, that's when I say to myself, okay, Steve, you got to get this shit done, because it will just inevitably teach me and train me to do difficult things.
What's one thing people misunderstand about you?
One thing that people misunderstand about me is that I am not necessarily somebody who has all the answers. I am very much somebody who is a work in progress. I'm very much somebody who is learning on the fly. Yes, I have been in real estate for, going on 20 years. I am third generation in real estate. I have been around a lot of real estate transactions, but I don't have all the answers when it comes to real estate. And what I do when I train, newer agents is I always tell them, don't be afraid to tell people that you're not sure and you'll get back to them. I think that everybody comes to me asking me for the answers to certain questions. And what I've been trained to do over the past 3 or 4 years that I've started coaching people on a high level is sort of ask them the questions back and let them find the answers for themselves. And I think that what that does is it allows people to feel more involved in the answer and feel more vested or feel more a part of it, that it was actually their idea. So I would think that, I don't have all the answers. I really don't. But I try my best to look for the answers, and there's never, ever, ever anything that I say that I could do that I can't.
What's a personal failure that ended up being a blessing in disguise?
A personal failure that ended up being a blessing in disguise was when I was 21 years old. I owned and managed a bar in the Bronx, and I could tell you that I was never, ever, ever, ever more excited than when my brother said to me, "Hey, here you go. You're going to run this bar, and it's going to be your bar." I only lasted 3 months there. I made the huge mistake of thinking that this bar was going to be like the college parties that I was throwing out in Long Island. And, we got busted by the cops. And they came in, they found, 20, 30 underage kids in there. And I just want to be clear. Those kids all showed IDs. I wasn't there trying to have underage kids. I mean, I was 21. I had just turned 21. So half of my friend group wasn't even 21 at the time. But we did hire a bouncer. And that failure, I was only there for 3 months. But that failure taught me to make sure that I follow the rules. And that ended up becoming a blessing in disguise because I use that now as a gauge and as a barometer for whether or not I should or shouldn't do anything. Being associated with Keller Williams, they talk about how every deal has to be win-win for both parties. And there's a lot of shortcuts that we could take as real estate agents and in this industry, but I do my best to not take those shortcuts because I never want to have the feeling of, somebody knocking at my door saying that, hey, you didn't do things 100% by the letter of the law. So that was one lesson that really, really ended up becoming a blessing in disguise.
I hope you're ready for this one. Who's someone you haven't publicly thanked but should? I'm waiting, by the way. Okay.
I mean, this list is probably long. So there are two people that I'd like to publicly thank that I have not before, and they are my two older brothers. When my father passed away in 2009, I was left without a male role model. I mean, as a man growing up, I was 27, 28 years old, you look to your father, and I didn't have that anymore. My two older brothers stepped up in ways that I couldn't even have imagined. And I'd like to just take a moment to publicly thank them because they have allowed me to grow into the man that I am today, the person that I am today, and allowed me to be myself and not necessarily force a square peg into a round hole and make me turn into a person that was not me. So I'd like to publicly thank both of my brothers. Michael and Daniel, thank you very much. I truly appreciate you, and I love you.
What's the hardest part about being a real estate team leader that no one talks about?
The hardest part about being a real estate team leader is showing up day in and day out with the energy and the knowledge and the willpower to be the best version of yourself. When you have other people that are depending on you, you can't just hide under the covers. You can't just say, you know what, I'm checking out today. And that's because they're depending on you to give them and foster an environment that they bought into. They're buying into your dream. They're buying into your version of business or your version of the team and what you think would be the most beneficial for them. So I think the hardest part about showing up and being a team leader for a real estate team, especially now in 2025, is just showing up every single day as the best version of yourself that you could possibly be.
What separates good agents from great agents in this market?
I think the major separation between good agents, great agents, average agents is the ability to educate yourself and to continuously be education-based. There's so many people that I meet that are in this business that are still stuck in their ways from years ago, and they're not getting with the times. Perfect example is AI. There's so many agents that are rejecting AI, and they just turn around and they just have the limited mindset of, I'm not going to learn that. I don't need to learn that. But what they're doing is they're just actually shooting themselves in the foot. If you just get with the times and you educate yourself and you build those skill bases, even if they're little tiny skills that you're learning and just a little bit at a time, you're going to show up better for your clients. So I think the major thing that separates, average, good, and great agents is the ability to educate yourself and get with the times.
What's one belief about real estate you completely disagree with?
One thing about real estate that I completely disagree with is that it's for everybody. Just because you can take a 75-hour course and all of a sudden become licensed to sell real estate doesn't mean that it's for everybody. You have to have the ability to overcome adversities. You have to have the ability to educate yourself. You have to have the ability to be able to think outside the box. It's very similar to law school. Now, I've never been to law school before, but I can guarantee you that I've heard 100 different times from 100 different lawyers that they're teaching you the letter of the law in school, but not necessarily how to be a good lawyer. It's the same thing with real estate. We teach you, or the state teaches you, the letters of the law. They teach you about agency. They teach you about, basic math commissions. They teach you about different terms. But what they don't teach you is what the really successful agents are doing. And believe me, if they did, most people would probably bail out of that 75-hour course. There's a statistic that comes out that I think it's every year, 9 out of 10 agents don't make it past that first 12 months. And I've seen it firsthand. It's the people who are willing to overcome adversity, search within themselves to become a better business person, a better person in marketing, a better person with sharpening their skills and their conversations. Those are the people who are going to be successful in real estate. So I think that that's something that people don't necessarily say. They say, hey, everybody could do real estate. No, you can't. You cannot. It's not for everybody.
You heard it here first. What's your biggest priority for the next 12 months?
So my biggest priority in the next 12 months, I'm going to give you two versions of it. From a personal standpoint, my biggest priority is to be the healthiest version of myself so I could show up as an amazing husband. Me and my fiance Jen are getting married in October. Today's June 2025, so in a couple months. So my biggest priority in the next 12 months is to be the healthiest version of myself so I could show up my first year of marriage as that person. And from a business standpoint, the next 12 months, the most important thing to me is just continuing to grow and become a better leader and communicator for my team.
You answered that correctly. My man, you're going to be okay. You're not sleeping on the couch tonight. I was nervous for a while, but you aced that test.
Yeah.
How do you make decisions when your back is against the wall?
Making decisions when your back is against the wall is a skill set that every person is going to have to encounter in their life. I think that for me, what I do is I use all of the information that's available to me. I think about what would be the worst case scenario, what would be the best case scenario. I try to hedge my bets. I try to make sure that the decision that I'm about to make is not going to hinder my growth tremendously. At the end of the day, what I want to do is I want to leave a legacy of giving, a legacy of growth, a legacy of somebody who actually cared, and to leave this world in a better place. So I feel that when my back is to the wall, as long as the decision I'm making is pure and it has great intention and the downside is very limited, I feel that it's the best decision to make at that moment. And also, it's very important to make sure that you have your facts correct. Don't make decisions off people's opinions. Don't make decisions off your own opinions. Learn the facts. And if we're talking about business, make sure that you're making decisions that are actually factual with what's going on, and you're not just flying off the handle and doing things that are going to actually hurt your growth.
Oof, this question is going to be exciting, I think. If you could build a dream team of 5 people, dead or alive, Who would they be and why?
So, are we talking business? Are we talking life? What are we talking?
So since you're putting it that way, I want the two aspects. I want business first, since that's what you do, and then I guess on the life side, hit me with that one afterwards.
All right. So first draft pick in my business dream team is going to be my father. That has to be first draft pick. Second pick would be Jamal Hadi, who's the broker at my at Keller Williams in the Bronx. Third pick would be Gary Keller, who is the CEO of Keller Williams. Fourth pick would be Warren Buffett. And my fifth pick would have to be Gary Vaynerchuk. I feel like that is a good mixture of marketing, wisdom, business, and money to build an incredible dream team around.
Well, I have a follow-up, though. Hold on.
Go ahead. What do you got?
You named some deep people in there, right?
Yeah.
It sounds like a very good team.
Yep.
I know some of those peeps. I don't know all of them, but I can already tell that this is a pretty powerful team.
Yes.
Number one, who's the leader? And number two is, how do you manage the strong personalities that these guys are all going to bring to the table?
I think that the leader, the captain of the team, I'm going with Warren Buffett. Only because if you don't have profit, you're not going to be able to have a business. So I'm going with Warren Buffett. And managing personalities, the five people that are on that team, that dream team right there, they're all people that, in my experience, from what I've read, I don't know all of them, but from what I've read, know how to work well in a team environment and know what they're really good at and where they can focus their abilities.
Okay, you can move on to the second portion of that.
Okay, so my dream team personally is going to be, all right, first draft pick, Michael Jordan. Michael Jordan, first draft pick. You got to have that killer mentality, right? Second pick in the life dream team is going to be Jesus Christ. Let's go with Jesus Christ. Third pick in the life dream team is going to be, let's think about this. Life dream team is going to be Jay Shetty. His perspective and the things that I've been listening to of his on his podcast and in the Calm app are really impressive, and I feel like he'll provide the right amount of mindset for the group. Fourth pick would be Abraham Lincoln for his foresight and his ability to not necessarily go with the times and to fight against adversity and go against and buck the trends. And I'm just going to stick with my fifth pick is going to be another president. I'm going to go with John F. Kennedy and his ability to speak, carry a room, and be somebody that the world can actually look to for inspiration. That was a loaded question, bro.
That was a crazy, that was a
loaded question.
That's the starting five. That's wild. Jesus, let's go.
Yeah, Jesus Christ, man.
Yeah, man,
I don't want to overlook that. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, I see it. I'm assuming, is that team captain? Or is Jordan team captain?
Yes, no. Team captain's got to be Jesus Christ. He's the captain of any team he's on.
Let's go, Jesus.
Yeah.
Okay. What are you most proud of professionally? And this is not the highlight reel, but the behind the scenes grit.
I'm most proud of the fact that I've been able to be very successful in real estate. And the reason being is because my father wanted nothing more than for me and my brothers to find our path in this world and the industry. All three of us chose paths that were involved in real estate to some capacity. Me personally, I chose the sales route. And for me, the being able to believe in my heart that he would be proud of me today is something that makes me very happy and makes me very proud.
So here's a final question.
Okay.
What does success not look like to you?
Success does not look like a huge bank account. Success does not look like a fancy car. Success does not look like being on the cover of a magazine. Success does not look like having 10 million followers on Instagram or on TikTok or on social media. To me, success is the lives that you impact on a daily basis, in and out. You do not owe anybody an ounce of time or effort if you don't want to give it to them. So all of the exterior things that we think that we're working hard for are not necessarily the truth. And I don't care if you tell me that your goal is to drive a Ferrari, if your goal is to have 10 million followers. What we're seeking is the feeling that's inside of us. So to me, success does not look like anything tangible. It looks like the feelings that people have when they speak your name.
So I know I said the final one, but this is going to be the bonus.
The final.
The final bonus.
Yep.
And this is from the personal bank.
Yep.
So we've been working together for the last, let me change the camera. We've been working together for the past 5 months or so, correct? Something like that. I want to know, I'm curious to know, what has your favorite moment been in this new podcasting journey that you find yourself in today?
My favorite moment in the past 5 months on this podcasting journey has been hearing stories from people that I thought I knew. Most of the guests that I've had on here, I know in some sort of capacity. Some are longtime family friends, some are lifelong childhood friends, some are business associates. Learning more about people and uncovering what's beneath the surface is what brings me the most joy, and telling people stories is what this podcast is all about. So there it is. There is a peek into my mind, into my mental. I know I have said, and I constantly say, that real estate is something that is a part of me. But what I'd like to also reiterate and stress is that hearing people tell stories and lifting them up is something that brings me great joy. And that's what this podcast is all about. So I hope that you enjoyed getting some thoughts into some insights into my mind, and hearing, straight from the horse's mouth, for lack of better words. This has been the Padernacht Podcast, brick by brick.